I've had a lot of requests for help with this question, and I thought rather than help everyone individually over hours and hours, I try to help you all at once, as we don't have a classroom to go over this in class. So, area of a piecewise rectangular figure. A piecewise rectangular figure is some figure, some shape that's made up of rectangles. Right? All of its pieces are made up of rectangles. So we could think of a shape like this. That's not made up of rectangles, right? We have what looks like maybe a circle. We've got some curves here. Finding the area of this is going to require calculus, right? Area under a curve, that's what calculus is for, integral calculus. But area of a rectangle, we know what to do there, right? If we just have something like 2 by 4, we can actually draw a grid and see how many squares are in here. Well, 2 here, and another 2, and another 2, and another 2. 2, 4, 6, 8 squares. So we have 8, whether it's yards or feet or inches, whatever. 8 squares of whatever that unit is. Right? And so in general, that's length times width. Right? So where are the rectangles here? Well, it kind of depends on how you want to see it. One way is to see it as here's a straight line coming up to a corner, so maybe we'll call this rectangle 1. And then this line continues until it stops, so we'll call that rectangle 2. And then this line continues to here, and then it kind of stops, so that's rectangle 3. And this line continued to here till it stopped, so we'll continue through it stops. There's rectangle 4, and then down here is rectangle 5. So I can add up the areas of those 4 rectangles, sorry, those 5 rectangles, if I know each of their areas individually. So let's look at this one first. There we can see it pretty well. In order to find the area here, I need the length and width of this rectangle. Well, that's given to me. This is 2 yards, and this is 3 yards. So I have 2 times 3. That gives me 6. Well, if this is 2, this is also 2, so the length here is 2. The question is, what's the width here? Well, I know this total length is 5, so I have a piece that's 5 yards long, and it's being cut, not in the middle, but it's being cut here. So if the total is 5, here's 3, 1, 2, 3, and here's 5. I just keep counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's 2 to 3. Right? The total is 5. 3 plus what is 5? 3 plus 2 is 5. So here's 2 by 2 for the second rectangle. Two times 2 is 4. And then here I have 2, and then this was 3, so that's actually the same as the first one. I don't want to write in yellow because you can't really see that, so we'll do yellow and red together. So there's 2 times 3 there. And then we'll go back to green. If this is 2, this is 2, this is 2, this is 2, right? All of these little pieces here are 2. Again, 3 plus 2 makes this 5 because this is 5. So here's 2 on this side. 2 means that this is 2 because in a rectangle opposite sides are the same length. So I have another 2 times 2 is 4. If I shade that in. And then back to yellow again for 3 length by 2 width. 3 times 2 is 6. So I have the square yardage of each of those 5 rectangles, and each of those pieces makes up the whole. So I'm saying 6 plus 4, there's 10. 6 plus 4, there's another 10, so 10 and 10 is 20. 20 plus 6, 26. So that's one way to find the area of these piecewise rectangular figures. But it's not really the best way, right? The best way is to use the rectangles that kind of pop out to you. So you might see here's a tall, skinny rectangle. There's 5 by 2, so there's 10. Over here, 2 along this side by 5 along that side, so there's a rectangle. That's also 10. And then I have this rectangle in the middle. Well, this side is 3 yards, so I know the length here is 3. Right? I'm not looking at the 7 because that's all the way across. The length here is 3. I need to know the width of this rectangle. So I'm still using the fact that 3 plus 2 makes 5 to get this middle part. 3 times 2 is 6. So I have 10 plus 10 plus 6, still 26 square yards. Okay, now maybe instead of seeing tall, skinny rectangles, you look at this same shape and you see, well, it's like a table. Here's the tabletop. There's a rectangle. And then I've got these 2 smaller ones underneath. Right. So for the small ones, that's 3 on one side, 2 on the perpendicular side. So 3 times 2, there's 6. Here's 3 times 2, there's 6. And then up top, instead of seeing that as 3 smaller rectangles, I can see one big rectangle here. So it's 7 along the long side, 7 times this length. And again, I'm stuck recognizing if this is 3, this is 3. 3 plus what makes 5? 3 plus 2 makes 5. So this is 2. And 2 times 7 is 14. So 6 plus 14 is 20. 20 plus 6 is 26. Or 6 plus 6 is 12. And 14 plus 12, 26. Right? So it's piecewise rectangular. We're looking at all of those rectangles that add up to make the big rectangle, adding up their areas. Now there is one other method that works well for this kind of shape, or maybe this kind of shape. For something like this, I recommend using like the big rectangle up top and the little rectangle tacked on the bottom, right? Add up those 2 pieces. But before we get to that, let me show you the last method that I probably use most often, and that's to look at a big rectangle. See this long side, that's 7, and this long side, that's 5. And I just make a big rectangle out of that. Right? There's one big rectangle, and I can fill that in. Alright, it's not filling in the way I want to. I'll stop trying to be fancy here. I'll just fill it in. So the big yellow rectangle has a length of 5 and a width of 7. But isn't the shape I'm interested in. The shape I'm interested in is missing this part. I need to cut out this part, right? I've got a box here. If I can draw straight lines here. That is not part of my shape. So what's the area of that part? 3 yards along this side, and then 3 yards along that side. 3 yards here, 3 yards here. So that's 9 times 9. Oh, sorry, 3 times 3, which gives me 9. So the whole thing is 35, and then I need to take away the 9 square yards that are in there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those 9 were not part of my shape. So 35 minus 9, borrow from the 3. 15 minus 9 is 6, and then the 2 is there. Or you could say 35 minus 10 is 25, but that's one less than 10, so this is one more than 25. We are still getting 26 square yards, whichever way we do it. All right, so if we look at another example here. I very clearly see, the first thing I see is a big rectangle. I see 7 here by 10 here. So 7 times 10, pretend those are all straight. 7 times 10 is 70. But then I need to cut out this chunk to get the shape I'm really interested in, right? So this shape is 5 by 4. So 20 less than 70, I'm going to subtract. That's going to give me 50. In this case, our units are centimeters, so it's 50 square centimeters. So that's the way I often will do this, is I'll look for the big rectangle and then cut out the extra part. You could have done this rectangle. Ooh, I really have trouble drawing straight down here. All right. This rectangle, that's 7 on this side and 5 on this side, so that's 35. And then if I look at this other rectangle, it's 5 by this distance, which they don't tell me. So if the whole thing is 7, then this whole thing is 7, right? It's a rectangle, 7, 7. So if this is 4, 4 plus 3 is 7. So this rectangle has to be 5 by 3. That's 15. 30, 40 plus 10 is 50, right? Same answer. Or you could do the long skinny one on the bottom plus the top one. You're still going to end up with 50 square centimeters, right? You have a choice as to which rectangles you're recognizing that make up the figure in question. Right, so just to finish up with this one, because this has 2 chunks taken out of it and they don't even tell me what the total length is here, I'm not going to try to do the subtraction method. I'm going to do the addition method. So even here, since they don't tell me this length, I'm going to cut it up into a bunch of rectangles and look at each one in part. So here I've got 5 by 4, so that's 20. Here, 5 by 4, that's the same as the one on the left, so that's 20. Here I've got 4 by 4, so that's 16. And then if this is 4, then this is also 4. And if this is 5, then this is also 5. So that's another 4 times 5, 20. So I have 20, 40, 60, plus 10, 76. And we can add that all up together. 20, 40, 60 plus one more 70, 76. Right? You could have done the tall one up top and just figured out that 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12. 12 times 5 is 60. So here's my 60 plus the 16 down there. Right? Either way. So that's how you find the area of a piecewise rectangular figure.